Introduce you as a person who can breakdance better than her. I would like to see Mary Walsh actually do a little breakdancing right now.
Well, you know, there is a video in the show called All the Older Ladies where you will see myself and Kathy Jones do a little breakdancing.
Get out!
And yeah, where we're spinning on our heads. Well, on our hats, actually, on our old lady hats. Yeah.
The show is Dancing with Rage. It's at the Panasonic Theater on Yonge Street, which is, by the way, have you ever performed there before?
I did a show called Love, Loss, and What I Wore.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And we all know, if you've not been to the Panasonic, it's a wonderful Mervish theater because it's really intimate. I mean, it's really a wonderful, intimate thing. So Dancing with Rage, this is where you pull out all of the characters that you've created through the years, some of them, and
some new ones. Yeah. It's the story of, there's two stories, actually. There's one story, it's kind of a fairy tale called The Little Girl Who Grew Up Next Door to Her Family. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who grew up next door to her family. And there's also the story of Marg Delahunty, who's my Princess Warrior character. And Marg, when she was 16, went to Expo 67 in Montreal with the Our Lady of Mercy Choir, got knocked up, went home. Her mother took the baby and gave the baby up for adoption.
Yes.
Now, at the beginning of the play, Marg has just found out that she's going blind with macular degeneration. So she sets off on a quest across Canada to find this child. There's a dark part in the middle of the show where Marg, for a minute, begins to believe that Stephen Harper could be her love child. Very hard for Marg to take that might be the case. Turns out, of course, it isn't. He's way too old. But anyway, so it goes on from there. So the two stories,
intertwined?
Intertwined, yeah.
Who did you write this with?
I wrote this with myself, but I had a dramaturg.
And how many is that?
Yeah, 7 or 8 people at least. Yeah.
Oh, because it seems really complicated.
Oh, no. It's not. It's not at all. It's just a regular quest story, except instead of fire-breathing dragons and trolls, Marg has to deal with, phone companies and the banks and Air Canada.
Real life things.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So do you want to? I didn't ask you ahead of time. You want to talk about the ordeal with our Mayor Ford and the Marg character?
Well, I guess there wasn't much of an ordeal. It didn't seem to be much of an ordeal. It seemed to be all, you know what I mean?
Hype. Yeah.
A lot of nonsense about that it was dark and that his daughter was frightened and all that.
From your position, tell the story. What you did, and then the
Well, it's very difficult these days, as you know, to get to politicians, right? You can't talk to them. You're not allowed to talk to them. Once upon a time, I don't know if you have that footage, that Marg actually kissed Stephen Harper. That was before he was in power. But when people are willing to do anything when they're not in power. But once the right get in power, they're not willing to do anything. But anyway, so we went to Mr. Ford's house, and we spoke to him. I was going to tell from one big loudmouth buffoon to another. I was going to give him a bit of advice.
Right.
And but he didn't. He was very up. He seemed to be, something was odd. Anyway, so he ended up calling 911, and then he came out with the story that it was in the dark and that his daughter was there. And as everybody seems to do these days, they kind of lie at the beginning, and then they have to go, well, no, it wasn't really dark.
Right.
Well, actually, my daughter wasn't really there. She was in the house. And I mean, I don't know why people, the truth will make you free. So he called 911, and then sort of the cops were after me and stuff. But then later on that night, there was...
Nothing new for you, huh?
No.
That's just
later on that night, there was another 911 call from that house. Yeah. So I think that... that house has 911 on speed dial. Yeah.
All right,
so that's, to me, it wasn't a big deal. I guess it was kind of frightening. Well, Mr. Ford I was kind of a bit frightened of Mr. Ford, who was odd, you know what I mean? I forgot all my lines and things like that. And actually, just to tell you the truth, and this is an exclusive, it never would have gotten on the air if Mr. Ford hadn't called 911 and made that big fuss. Because I just never even got any of my lines out. I just kept saying over and over, but Mr. Ford, I came up all the way from Newfoundland to talk to you.
That's it.
And so the people on This Hour's 22 Minutes would never have put it on. So it was like Mr. Ford seems determined to keep shooting himself in the foot.
There we go.
So the foot will not come off.
Yeah, no,
but people love him. People love him.
They do, and
they think the sun, the moon, and the chevron sign shines right out of his back passage.
He keeps missing his foot.
Yeah.
Miss it again. Speaking of Newfoundland, what a great jump. The show's going on. Dancing with Rage opens tonight until the 24th. But for tomorrow night, there is
Newfoundland night.
Newfoundland night. Okay.
And so if you say that you're from Newfoundland, I think that should be enough. You get a ticket for $9.99 because not that many people go around saying they're from Newfoundland unless they are. But Randy says you have to prove you're from Newfoundland and bring your...
Randy from Mirvish Productions.
Randy from Mirvish.
Yeah.
That you have to bring your birth certificate. It's like, if I had to bring my birth certificate, that'd be it. I'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where my birth certificate is.
Yeah, and Randy actually referred to a Newfoundland passport.
A Newfoundland passport.
I know.
Right. He means a Canadian passport.
Okay. Here's this brilliant publicist for Mirvish. Newfoundland passport. Okay, if Randy says there is one, there's got to be one.
Before 1949,
right.
I guess, you might have a Newfoundland passport.
Okay.
Because, of course, we were a country, which you guys tend to forget, but there you go. We don't.
It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you so much. And, it's always a pleasure to be here.
And before we started, she asked for my my autograph. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can't show it. They won't see it.
He drew this for me, so I would never forget him.
It's a stick, man.
I know.
Just wanted to make sure she never forgot me again.
Really good.
Thank you. Mary?
Yes?
I'm not going to wish you luck.
Well, why not?
Because you don't need luck.
You're going to say break a leg.
You don't need luck.
Well, thank you so much.
Because you're so skilled at what you do.
Ah, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
And you can walk in through the door anytime. Don't even ask, okay? Security might stop you. You can try. Thank you, Mary Walsh. Dancing with Rage opens at the Panasonic Theater
That's
tonight.
what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Security. That's where all the money is.
Yes.
Everybody's in security.
Yeah, all right. We have to go now.
Okay.
All right. We will be smiling with some milestones in just a couple of seconds. CP24 Breakfast. Good morning.
It's me, Mark Delahunty. You're not going to call 911, are you? What's going on, Commissioner Paulson? Did the RCMP start thinking it'd be easier to get the bad guys if they became bad guys?